The observation deck of the Galactic Council's orbital tribunal was constructed entirely of transparent calcified quartz, designed to offer a panoramic view of the burning wastes below and instill a profound, soul-crushing sense of insignificance in anyone brought before the High Magistrates. High Chancellor Valen stood at the center of the dais, his 6 multi-jointed optical stalks rippling with a cold, iridescent violet light. Around him sat the delegates of the core alliance systems, hundreds of gleaming biosculpted delegates, immortal dynasts, and warlords who had ruled the Orion Arm for 10,000 cycles without ever suffering a dent in their polished armor. Down in the center of the subterranean holding pit stood a solitary figure. He didn't wear powered battle exoskeletons. He didn't carry a state-of-the-art plasma carbine, a vibroblade, or even a basic kinetic sidearm to level the playing field against the terrifying doom waiting for him. He wore a faded, oil-stained orange jumpsuit bearing the faded stenciled code of a deep space mining reclamation vessel. His bare feet caked in dried red clay from the penal labor camps, and his short, iron-gray hair shaved close to a scarred, weathered scalp. He was smaller than them, softer than them, and possessed none of the terrifying biological adaptations that made the galaxy's vassal races tremble in their wake. "You are Master Chief Industrial Sanitation Technician Thomas Vance," Valen broadcasted across the amphitheater's public audio feed, his voice dripping with a mix of aristocratic mockery and cold bureaucratic finality. "Your species, designation humanity, was issued an absolute extraction notice 6 solar cycles ago for refusing to pay planetary tithes to the Galactic Trade Cartel." Valen raised an upper talon, pointing a razor-sharp claw toward the massive blast doors at the far end of the pit. "We sent our finest execution squads," Valen continued, his voice echoing with absolute authority. "The Null Stalkers of Sector 9, genetically engineered shadow assassins designed to slip through carbon-based life support grids without leaving a single atom of evidence. They were supposed to harvest your species' leadership quietly, efficiently, and permanently." Thomas didn't look up at the dais. He didn't tremble, he didn't drop to his knees, and he didn't scream defiant curses into the void like every other political prisoner who had walked this path before him. Instead, Thomas slowly raised his right hand, reached up to scratch an itchy spot behind his left ear, and let out a long, wheezing sigh that sounded less like a warrior facing his execution and more like a man standing in an endless queue at a municipal tax office after a 16-hour double shift. "Yeah?" Thomas muttered, his voice raspy, dry, and flat with profound, unadulterated annoyance. 3 guys in black rubber suits wearing cheap thermal absorption cloaks tried to sneak into my primary sector engine room while I was halfway through a 12-hour shift fixing a blown coolant valve. Valen's optical stalks froze mid-wave. His multi-lensed arrays dilated in sudden, sharp irritation. "You speak of the Null Stalkers with casual disrespect? They are the ultimate apex predators of the Outer Rim. What happened to them?" Thomas rolled his shoulders until a loud, echoing pop rattled off the steel walls. He reached into the deep pocket of his oil-stained jumpsuit, pulled out a tangled clump of black synthetic fabric and glowing optical wires, and casually tossed the ruined remnants of an elite assassin stealth harness onto the pristine floor of the tribunal. It landed with a dull, humiliating thud. "Well, first of all, they tracked mud all over the freshly mopped deck plates of Sector for Engineering," Thomas said, his tone dripping with the weary exasperation of a senior foreman dealing with lazy apprentices. "Second of all, they tried to use high-frequency monomolecular blades right next to a high-voltage plasma conduit. The magnetic interference alone fried their neural packs before I even had to put down my wrench." A dead, suffocating silence fell over the Galactic Tribunal. The hundreds of elite delegates stared down at the ruined assassin gear, their advanced tactical processors instinctively running calculations that refused to make logical sense. Elite shadow assassins, beings capable of assassinating planetary governors in their sleep, had apparently been taken out like clumsy trespassers by a tired human mechanic wielding a wrench. You destroyed the galaxy's ultimate execution squad with basic industrial hazards?" Valen choked out, taking an involuntary step backward on his dais. "Execution squad?" Thomas snorted, shaking his head with deep disappointment as he gripped a 20-inch iron pry bar in his calloused right hand. "Look, pal, Your fancy little assassins were amateurs. They didn't even know how to properly bleed a hydraulic line. If that's the best the Galactic Council can send. Thomas took a slow, heavy step forward, his tired brown eyes locking directly onto the trembling Chancellor. Then you've got no idea what kind of mess you just started. Now, are you going to give me my lunch break back? Or am I going to have to climb up there and fix your life support grid myself?